In ancient Greece, your life wasn't defined by who you were, but by where you stood. From a nameless slave buried in dust, to voices that could move an entire city, every rank gave you power, and took something in return. And at the top, you discover the cruelest truth history remembers: empires, not the people who built them. Level 1. The slave in the quarry. You wake up before the sun, not because you choose to, but because pain doesn't let you sleep any longer. Your body already knows the day before your mind does. You are in a stone quarry outside Athens. The air is thick with dust that never fully leaves your lungs. Every breath tastes like rock. You don't own anything. Not your name, not your time, not even the scars on your back. They belong to the man who bought you. You don't remember the exact moment you stopped being a person. It wasn't dramatic. No thunder, no divine punishment. Just a transaction. One day you were human. The next you were property. The whip cracks before you slow down. Not after, before. Because they already know when you're going to fail. You carry stone that men who will never see you will turn into. Temples for gods who will never notice you. At night, you lie on the cold ground and stare at the stars. Someone once told you the stars belong to the gods. You laugh quietly. Even the gods, you think, must belong to someone higher. Level 2. The household servant. You are still a slave, but now indoors. That sounds better. It isn't. Inside means eyes are closer. Expectations are sharper. Mistakes are remembered longer. You serve a Greek household in Athens. Oil lamps, marble floors. Food you are allowed to smell but not taste. You learn the rhythm of free people. They wake slowly. They eat without thinking. They complain about things you would consider miracles. You memorize their moods the way sailors memorize storms. If the master is calm, you survive the day. If he is not, someone will pay for it. Usually you. You learn something important here. Power does not shout. It doesn't need to. It just exists. And everything around it adjusts. You are not beaten every day. That is how you know you are still alive. At night, you hear laughter from the dining hall. They are discussing philosophy. You don't know what philosophy is, but you suspect it is something you are not allowed to have. Level 3. The artisan. You are free now. Or at least they call you that. You are a potter in Athens. Clay, wheel, fire, repeat. You rent a small workshop that smells like earth and smoke. Your hands are cracked, but they are yours. Freedom feels like this. You can leave anytime. But you don't, because leaving leads where? You sell bowls to people who use them at banquets you will never attend. You decorate them with stories of gods you've only heard about from priests. Zeus, Athena, Apollo. You wonder if they feel as distant to you as the aristocrats do. Some days you make enough to eat well. Some days you don't. The difference between stability and starvation is one broken vase. You watch noblemen pass your shop. They don't look at you. Not because they hate you, because you are not part of the same reality. And somehow that is worse. Level 4. The soldier, hoplite. You are stronger now, or forced to be. You carry a shield heavier than your regrets and a spear that decides whether you live or become a lesson. You are a hoplite, a citizen soldier. That sounds honorable. It is not gentle. You stand in formation with men who share your fear but not your fate. Because when the line breaks, survival becomes personal. There is no individuality in battle, only the wall. You are told to hold it. You do not ask why, because the answer is always the same. If you don't, someone else will die closer to you. War in Greece is not chaos. It is geometry. Lines, phalanxes, precision. And still, when the enemy crashes into you, everything becomes screaming and metal and breath. You didn't realize you were holding your entire life. After the battle, you sit on the ground and realize something strange. You are alive, and so is the man next to you. That feels like the closest thing to peace you've ever known. Level 5. The merchant. You stop fighting. Not because you are weak, because you understand something the battlefield taught you. Survival is not always heroic. Sometimes it is just endurance with better accounting. You become a merchant. Olive oil, wine, cloth. You learn weights, measures, lies, because trade is just war without swords. Everyone is trying to win without looking like they are trying. You travel between city-states. Athens, Corinth, Sparta's borders you avoid carefully. Every city thinks it is the center of the world. Every city is wrong. You start to notice patterns. Rich people are not smarter. They are just earlier versions of poor people who didn't fail yet. You build something small. A reputation. A network. A fragile ladder made of trust and timing. And for the first time you think, maybe life is not just something that happens to me. Maybe I can push back. Level 6, the Athenian citizen. Now you belong. Not fully, not equally, but officially. You can speak in the assembly. You can vote on wars that will kill people you know and people you don't. Democracy feels powerful until you realize it is just organized disagreement. You stand in public spaces where ideas are traded like goods. Philosophers argue in the streets. Socrates walks through the city questioning everyone like a man, trying to debug reality itself. You listen sometimes, not because you understand, but because you sense something dangerous in his questions. Questions that don't want answers. They want truth. And truth, you are learning, is not always useful. You own property now. You pay taxes. You have opinions. You are no longer invisible, which means you are now accountable. That is its own kind of pressure. You realize something unsettling. Freedom is not the absence of control. It is participation in a system that assumes you are responsible enough to handle it. Most days, you are not sure that is true. Level 7, the politician. You speak now. In public. On purpose. You learn how words can bend crowds the way wind bends ships. You are no longer just reacting to power. You are shaping it. You rise in influence. People know your name. They repeat your arguments even when they don't fully understand them. You discover something dangerous. Being believed feels almost identical to being right. You start to forget the difference. You form alliances. You make enemies. Both are required. Politics in Athens is not clean. It is theater with consequences. You learn to smile while negotiating outcomes that will outlive you. You tell yourself you are serving the city. Sometimes you believe it. Sometimes you don't. Level 8, the philosopher. You leave politics. Or politics leaves you. It doesn't matter which. You end up where many who question too much eventually arrive. Thinking. Constantly. You sit in courtyards and ask questions that make people uncomfortable. What is justice? What is truth? What is a good life? At first, people listen. Then they stop coming. Because philosophy does something dangerous. It removes certainty. You realize that everything you built your identity on status, work, citizenship is temporary agreement. Nothing is fixed. Everything is negotiated. Even morality. Even meaning. You start to see the city differently. Not as structure, but as illusion maintained by shared belief. That realization is powerful and isolating. You begin to understand why Socrates made people angry. He wasn't attacking answers. He was attacking comfort. Level 9, the fallen noble. Time passes. Empires shift. Wars come and go like seasons that don't care about your plans. You lose influence. Then money. Then relevance. The city no longer calls your name. New voices rise. New ideas replace yours. You become a reference instead of a participant. Someone people mention when talking about the old thinkers. You are still alive. But socially, you are archived. You sit in the same places you once spoke in. Now you are just listening. You realize something painful. Most people do not fall suddenly. They fade. Slowly. Politely. Level 10. The unknown man in the crowd. You are old now. Not important. Not powerful. Just present. You walk through Athens and see generations that do not know your story. They pass statues of people you once knew. They argue about ideas you helped shape but no longer own. You sit in the marketplace and watch life continue without needing your permission. And strangely, it feels correct. Because the city was never yours. It never belonged to anyone. Not kings. Not philosophers. Not warriors. It belongs to time. You think back to every level you lived. The slave who had nothing. The servant who saw power up close. The artisan who built something small. The soldier who learned fear. The merchant who learned value. The citizen who learned responsibility. The politician who learned influence. The philosopher who learned uncertainty. And finally, the man who learned disappearance. You understand now what Greece was. Not a civilization. A ladder. And every rung was temporary. You stand up slowly. Your legs hurt. But you walk anyway. Because that is what people do. They move forward through systems they do not fully understand. Until they become part of history. And then history forgets to notice them leaving.